So we will just wait for another 2 to 3 minutes for others to join. And once everyone are joined, we will start with today's topic. Just wait for a minute and then we will start. People are still coming.
వస్తాయి సార్ ఎందుకంటే హోస్ట్ తను కాబట్టి ఆప్షన్ లేదు సార్ కాబట్టి మనం జూమ్ చేసుకొని సైడ్ కొట్టేసుకోవచ్చు
Yeah, okay. I guess we can start now. So I hope everyone is comfortable in English and just give me a heads up on chat if everyone is able to hear me properly. Hello, am I not audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay then. So then we would be starting with synonyms. So before starting with synonyms, there is something you would like to understand. So if you have already worked on object-oriented programming, so you would be knowing about objects. Okay, so what exactly is an object? So whenever a particular class, in order to use or make the program more efficient, so there was something known as class was introduced in the early programming language, where the whole functions at the same time the characteristics and other important things were clubbed it into a single file, and then we would be able to use it by creating an objects of those. Right. So if you understand the concepts of objects, so similarly when it comes to database, so database also has objects. Okay, those are all pre-written. We don't need to do anything. We just use it. Okay. So database has around five uh, objects, which are, I mean, there are a lot of objects, but five are very important and they are the major database object types. So what are those object database types? Yes. Um, okay, I'm able to share only one slide. I like to share my entire screen. Yeah. So is my notepad visible? Anyone can just unmute yourself and just let me know if my notepad is visible. Hello?
Yes, visible.
Yes, yes, it's visible. Yeah. So when it comes to objects, the major thing that came into picture was objects. You don't really need to understand what exactly object is and how exactly it functions. And it is not necessary for you to understand even OOPS concept. But whenever it comes to interviews, it is kind of observed that many of the interviewers ask OOPS concept just to check the basic knowledge. So if you could just brush up those basic knowledge, that would be fine. Else, if you even don't know, then that is also fine because OOPS concepts are generally used in programming languages, and the programming language, using those programming languages only, this whole Microsoft servers and Oracle servers, all this has been created. Okay. So we will just go on to and highlight like why are we exactly running synonyms or views. Okay. So objects, the major objects we need to just remember it. Just remember it. Table. So tables we already learned what exactly is table. Indexes. So indexes is something which
Page
makes
number,
it much
sir.
more easier for any database administrator or any of the database engineer to actually retrieve the data very easily because everything is stored in a lookup table, just like our book. All the contents are in the front page. That is called indexes, and then sequences. Sequences we would discuss later. Views, which we would be discussing today, and so on. So when it comes to views, there are multiple types of views. So we'll be discussing those. What are the types of views which we will be talking about today? And then synonyms. So in synonyms, since synonyms I will be discussing first. So synonyms are of two types. One is private and one is public. So in private and public, I will be discussing about what is the difference between both. And then I will be giving you some examples like some advantages scenarios, why it is exactly used, and those kind of things. Nothing. Okay. So, so once you understand what exactly are object, then it would be much more simple for you to understand cinema. Okay. So, what exactly is cinema? Okay. Now, what I do. So let's just only talk about cinema. So when it comes to synonym, so what exactly is synonym? Synonym is just a concept where it provides another name for the database object. Okay. So whenever we talk about database object, okay, let's just say you are trying to retrieve a data. So what exactly you do to try when you retrieve the data? Any one of you can unmute yourself and just answer me. I mean, what exactly do we do when we are just trying to look the data? Let's just say we have a table and we just want to see the data. So, any one of you could just answer me. I guess no one is ready for that. Okay, anyway. So, when it comes to just looking at the data, what exactly we do? We just write a query of select all from a table, or let's just say when it is just normal database, in that case we only use table. But when it is a complex database, that is there are multiple schema, there are multiple databases, there are multiple server names, and there are multiple tables as well over there. So in that case, what exactly in that particular scenario, what we do is it requires us to give a server name from a server name. So if you have ever worked hands-on, then you'll be knowing it. Else, you will get to know once you start your job. So that's then we gave the database name. So server name, let's just say there are multiple instances running on. So what I mean by instances, I hope you all know about instances. Instances is just a server. So just that we have to specify which server we are asking for the database. So we will be giving server name and then database name. And once we get the database name, then we have to specify which schema it is. So in one particular database, there could be multiple schema. So we will be giving the schema name. And then in a particular schema, there would be multiple tables, then we would be giving the table name. So this is kind of a huge thing. I mean, what I need is I just need to retrieve, let's just say, an employee table. Uh, I mean, when it comes to a complex database, when you start working hands-on, so in that case, you would have to specify all these things. That is, select all from server name, database name, schema name, and table. So in this particular case, there are two drawbacks which comes in picture. So one such is whenever there is some location change. Let's just say my employee table was in let's just say my employee table was, let's just say there are two server names, two servers running on, two instances running on. So one is server one, another one is server two. Server two. In this particular case, when there are two servers running on, what I just do is just for some simplicity or just because of some operations which I need to perform, I move the employee table from server one to server two. Okay, so you just need to understand the application is huge. Okay, there are some thousand codes running on, and the application is kind of huge. And all this code has already been written, that is select. So in here, just for the example, I'm giving select all, but in a particular application, there would be a lot of code written uh, just to retrieve that employee table and do some manipulation over there. Okay, do some DML operations over there. Let's just say insert into some table or alter or update or delete or anything. Okay, so in that particular case, since my employee table earlier was in server 1 and now it is in server 2. So earlier, let's just say the application wanted to update the data uh, from the employee table, which was in server 1. So if I had written the code, multiple places I have written the code as update this particular table from server name this, database name this, schema name this, and this particular table. So, but now due to some particular reasons, I had to move that employee table to server 2. Okay. So in that case, what I have to do now for my application to run properly? I will have to go to every other place where I am doing certain operations, every other place in the code where I am doing certain operations, and I would have to change the server name over there. So is it possible to do that? That's not at all possible because the applications are huge and I won't be able to go to every other place where operation is done because it is kind of complex. There are some thousands of operations running on in a particular database. So that's not really possible, right? So in this particular case, what do we do? The whole concept of synonym comes. So synonym, what synonym does is synonym provides another name for a database object. So this is the database object. I mean, we are retrieving using the object, right? So this dot operator, if you know oops concept, so this is a dot operator where we use, which we use to point to the next, I mean, whatever inside functions is, or how we exactly access the object using this dot operator. So similarly, we are using it over here also. So just to avoid this whole confusion, what exactly we do is we create synonym. Okay. So when it comes to synonyms, what exactly we do is in synonym, let's just say I write a query rather than writing all this, I write a query. Select. Uh, yeah. Okay. Let's just forward this and talk about how we would be creating a synonym for this particular table. Okay, so here we have the table. So now what I will be doing is I will be creating a synonym of it. So what I will be doing, create synonym and the synonym name. Let's just say I give the synonym name as SYNEMP. Just because table name is employment. So we can give whatever you want. For the server name, the whole of this. You just copy. Okay. So what I do is just this. So now you don't need to every time specify where exactly is the database, where exactly in which server name it is, in which schema name it is. You don't really need to do anything. What you would be doing is you would just be using this SYNEMP for all your operations. You would be creating a synonym of the table and then you would be using it in your whole application. So now as a developer, what I would be doing is rather than using this in this for my operation, I would be using my synonym. Okay. So what this gives us the benefit that whenever now let's just say now due to some issue I had to move from server one to server two. In that case, what I would be doing, I would just change here in this particular line where we are creating synonym. I would be just changing the server name here and no other place. Just by changing the server name over here, everywhere it would get aligned as automatic. We don't need to really worry about whether changing the server name would affect any database or anything. Okay, so I hope at least you got the concept of why synonym. Okay, if you could just give me a heads up, like you actually understood, and if you have any questions, you could just ask. Hello, someone up here. Hello, uh, hello. Am I even audible? Anyone up here? Just even at least type in on
Yes, yeah.
chat box.
Yeah, horrible.
Okay, it is fine, right?
Yeah, fine. Yeah, fine.
So we got the concept of why we are using synonyms. Okay. So synonyms actually use it for it's just an alias of this particular name. Okay. Rather than using such a big name, we are just using SYNEMP, and it also reduces the chances of making an error when any database is moved or something like that. Okay, so this is the whole concept of synonym. So I will just give you some other queries just for your reference if ever interviewer asks you. So let's just say interviewer asks you the question like just retrieve me the data of all the synonyms in the database or the system. So in that case, you will just write a query that is select all from system dot synonyms. Just this and all the synonyms that are in your system that you will be able to retrieve. Okay, so we got the idea of how why synonym and how to create a synonym and few other of this. So there are certain advantages of this which I actually explained it to you right, and the same we would be looking at in our material as well. See? So it is used to hide the owner of the table. So since we are kind of creating alias of the table, so if we don't want the outer person to know that where exactly this table is coming from or who the owner is, so that would get hide. The second would be it works like a mirror image, as I already told you. There is no difference at all. It's just the same database, the same thing, just that we are using a alias of that. It makes much more easier. Okay. So third, it does not have its own structure since everything is coming from the original database. So we don't really need to create a structure of its own. It would copy whatever is in the original database. It depends on the table, as I already told you. We can possibly create the synonym on tables. Yeah, it's not a problem, but yeah. So there are two types of synonym, that is private and public. So when it comes to private synonym, so by default everything is private. So the private and public, it comes to picture uh, only when you want to retrieve data from some other server where you don't have access to, or yeah, that's the only case when it comes the whole picture of private and public synonym comes. Okay, so let's just say you are creating a synonym in your own server. So in that case, it's not a problem. Okay. So also remember, it's just not about the server name. Even if you don't have a server name, because if you're usually working on your single server, then in that case it won't be there at all. In this case, you will just be specifying database name, schema name. So by that logic, you will have to understand, and this is kind of linear and easy to understand. So I hope you have all understood what I came in. So when you are working on a private serum, that is you are working on your own server. So in that case, you don't really need to worry because by default everything would be private. Okay, whatever you are creating, it would be in your own system, and you don't really need to have privileges to work on that table name or data. Okay, but when it comes to multiple servers, and let's just say you don't have privileges to work on multiple other servers, so in that case, you declare your synonym as public and you specify the privileges, like who exactly can use it. So when you would be working on Microsoft server and creating a synonym, there you would better be able to understand like what privileges I'm talking about. And that's not necessary. I mean, when it comes to interviews, you don't really need to explain them everything. You just need to let them know that there is something called as privileges, and only a privilege. If you don't have the privilege to modify the data or see the data, then you won't be able to access it. So for that case, public is used. That is server one and server two. Let's just say server one, server two. Someone with the privilege of server two wants to retrieve the data from server one or the synonym name. So in that case, it has he needs to have the privilege of the synonym name. which can be declared by creating a synonym name by whoever has the privilege for server. So I hope it is clear, server name, and just to give you better understanding of synonym private, how to declare a private or a public synonym. So I will just write uh, the query for that as well. Already we have given it in our material. Let's show you the material. Okay, so it is used to create a private synonym in a current schema and access within, as I explained it to you. And public synonym, it is used to create public synonym in a current schema and access from other schemas also or other servers also. So that's how it works. And the syntax would be create synonym name as for table name. So here you don't really need to specify because in private, as I told you, it is by default private. So you don't really need to specify like if it is private or public. But when it comes to public, that is create a public synonym in a current schema and can be accessed from other schemas or database. In that case, you have to specify create public synonym name for table name. Okay, got it? For a particular table name. I hope it is kind of clear to you all. So I'm expecting everyone got an understanding of how synonym works and why synonym. So now we will be moving on to views. So views are kind of, as I told you, views is also an object of synonym. Sorry, database, and it was similar. I mean, there's no much of a difference. Just that in views there are particular restrictions, and views are used for some uh, particular operations only. So that I would be going through. So before that, if you have any questions or something, I would be more than happy to answer you. Okay. I guess no one has any question. Anyway, that is fine. Okay. So now so when it comes to views, views is kind of advanced part of synonym. Here we will be creating a view that is part of a table, and whatever changes are done in the table, and it all automatically reflects in your view. It's just that let's just say I go on to paint. I just open paint. So here let's just say there is a table. In this particular table, you have certain columns. Okay, I will not waste your time in creating everything. But yeah, so let's just say you have certain column, and in this particular column, you want to use this view. I mean, you'll be creating a duplicate of this particular table so that you don't mess up with this particular table. Let's just say you are a teacher and you have certain number of students and you want to show their marks to them. Okay, and just because of some constraints, you have your database and nothing else. So if you give this particular database to them and ask them, I mean, just let them see the marks. So what they can do is, since this is the original database, they would, if someone has 33 percentage, so he would change it to 55 percentage in the database, and and no one would able to find it out since the whole operation has already been done, and so this particular privilege, if you don't want that to happen, so what a teacher would do is rather than using this particular directly using this particular to database, they would create a view. Okay, so view they would be creating exact same whatever the database is, and they would ask the students to view from this. Here, the student would only be able to see the database. He won't be able to perform any operation. Even if he does perform any operation, that operations won't reflect in the original database. Okay, so that is the whole idea of views and why views are important. So in views, there are certain advantages as well. Let's just say the teacher, let's just say there is a column as remark, and teacher doesn't want students to see the remark. Okay, so this is remark. We don't have stylus, so just bear with it. So teacher doesn't want this remark to be shown to students. So what she would do is she would create a view of only this particular data, this particular part, this one, two, three. There is a name, subject, and marks. Okay, so she can do this. So these are some advantages of views and why views are important. So it is just like it is a virtual table to hide the base table, and it works like a mirror image of the table. Okay, clear. And the next thing is you won't be able to. Any person who is given this particular view, he won't be able to make any changes in the original database. He can perform other operations on this view. That is fine, but no modification would be done on the original database, and that actually creates a security for you. Okay, so the same, it doesn't have its own structure over here. Structure in the sense when we create a database, we create it create database with so and so column. We don't really need to do it over here. We would directly be writing a syntax that is how to create a view. So the syntax would be create view and some view name. So let's just say view name whatever you name you want to give as. So as is important, you just remember as, and you write some subquery or you write any query. Okay, subquery is also possible, and if you want to write a normal query, that is also possible. As which is a select or from student mark. Okay. Okay, so this is the whole idea of view. So you just be creating a view, giving the view name of it, and from wherever you want that view to be. So here I am specifying all the columns to be in the view name. Let's just say I don't want that to happen, and I want only, as I told you, I don't want remarks from there. I only want student name. So I would specify that student name, mark, student name, mark, and subject. I can do this. So that are the advantages of views, and we can define view on synonyms as well. So earlier we talked about this particular synonyms, right? So since a synonym has already been created, you can create a view of that synonym as well. So and all views are stored in all view. All view is if you want to see all view, so all views is a folder which we gets created, and everything would be there in all views if you want to have a glimpse of it. So you understood views. So if you even explain this much of the views, that would be more than enough for the interview. If let's just say he asks you the types of views, because there are certain types, but at a glance I already told you, and everything sums up in this particular this whole syntax itself. You can do every operations, you can write any number of subqueries. So just to make that more simplified. Oracle database came up with some types of views. So I will be talking about the type. So first would be simple view. In simple view, you'll be able to retrieve the data from only one table. Okay, like what we are doing here. Or you would be writing, you'll be able to retrieve from only one subquery. Okay, so like here, let's just say the whole idea, the whole thing I just talked about in the paint, that is teacher and student table. So even that was a simple view where I was only retrieving, making a view from only one table. So you already got it. Second would be complex. What is complex? So when it comes to complex, we use multiple tables. Let's just say create view. View name would be let's just say marks only. As select from where exactly we want. Student name. So student name was there in this particular table, and now marks are not in this student marks table. It is in some other table. Let's just say marks. Okay, so I will write m dot mark h dot student some student student as h and student from student as h given from student as h comma mark as n. Okay, where whatever is the primary key over there, you will be able to specify. Like let's just say mark m dot id equals to h dot id student name. So here we are retrieving the data from multiple tables. So that is why this is called complex data, complex view. So that's the only thing. There's nothing special. Third one would be force view. So in force view, it is used without base table. Okay. So there is no table existing, and you are trying to use it. So once you use force view, then so you would write create force view and whatever view name you want to give, view name as select all from a table which is not existing. To specify some table name. So in that case, a table name is created. So that's it. I mean, whatever table name you want to give, some table name is not existing. That is called force view. Fourth one would be vertical. When it comes to vertical view, so you will be specifying some column as I did in the earlier page. I didn't want to show the marks in that remark, so I specified certain column. So that was vertical view. So I will be explaining it again. Now horizontal. So in horizontal view, I mean it is used to define a view on specific records in a table. Okay, so where we would be using where clause. Let's just say the table I created. Let's just say some I want only the marks of the view of the marks of the students who scored above 80%. So I will be writing a where clause that is create table name. I mean create view name as select mark from marks table where marks is greater than 80%. So in that particular case, it would come under horizontal. Okay. So next would be functional. So generally interviews don't go this way. Yeah, I mean just to give you a heads up. So functional view. So functional view would be something where you would be using function. Okay, so I mean, obviously you have come this far in the SQL, so you would already be known that even in SQL you can write function. So just that you would be creating a view and you would be using functions as well. So that's it. Uh, then it comes partition, partition view. So here you would be using it on compound queries. You just need to remember compound queries. That's it. Compound queries. So when it comes to compound query, so let's just say you are doing some operations as union of two tables. So or intersection, union of multiple tables. So that would be a compound query, and that is called partition view. So similarly, there are inline view as well. Inline view. So in inline view, it works having a query where I mean you'll be writing I mean query in from clause. If you know, I mean in the from clause itself, you'll be writing certain queries. Just like I mean this is kind of new, so let's just leave it over here. Once you'll be writing the from clause as well. I mean where you it just subqueries. If you know what exactly is a subquery, so if you have already done subquery, so you'll be able to understand. Let's just say I'm writing inline view that is select all from. So rather than specifying the table, what you would be doing is you would be writing a subquery. Subquery would be select all from employee. So here you would be specifying a subquery. So that is called inline view. Okay. Yeah. So I hope that's it. Views are all summed up in this particular manner only. So if you have any query, you can go through the material which we will be providing, or if it has already been given to you, just go through that. And if you have any questions, you can come up with that. And since I mean it is not very difficult, and but you need to know because interviewers expect you to know views and synonyms and it is very simple. As I explained it to you in very depth, I mean, I would always give you a suggestion if you are not very confident about some things, but there are some simple things in an interview like views or channel. You can talk about this for 15 minutes as well. If you know in depth, as I explained to you, that from objects itself, you can talk everything from objects to the end, then 15 minutes would already be gone and he would have he can have the interview for long hours, right? So he just needs to know that whether you know the concept. And if you are so depth in the concept, so in that particular case, he sees the enthusiasm in you that you know this many things and you are very enthusiastic to learn and you must have already worked on this particular databases for a long time. That's the reason you know everything. So this gives an idea to him. So you just need to make him believe that you have been working on this particular concept for a long time. Okay? Yeah. So that's it from my side. If you have any questions, you just come up with the questions. Once done, I will be showing some new things for you. I'll give you a minute. I mean, if you could just think of some questions or something, I would be happy to answer you all. At least if you have understood the concept, please give me a heads up in the chat box that you have understood. I mean, my 1 hour has gone efficiently. At least I would be able to say that. Any one of you just.
So there is a one view is there, materialized view.
Okay. So it is materialized view. I guess I forgot to mention about materialized view. So in materialized view, it has its own structure. So in materialized view, you won't be able to manipulate anything. That's it. I mean, there's nothing else. And yeah, that's it. It has its own structure, and you won't be able to make any DML operations, that is manipulation operations in that particular view. So how to create it? In order to create it, you will be writing. Sorry for that. Writing what the in materialized view, you will be using a syntax create material like view, and let's just say some view name you give materialized view at select or from PM or whatever you want. This is materialized view. Apart from this, if you could all, I mean, there are 11 members in the chat. At least some of you can just give me a heads up if you please have understood the concept.
So understanding.
Okay, 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 that is okay. Then thanks for that. I will just show you some new material. I mean, okay, so we have come up with some new material. Okay, and how to use it. So this new material will be provided. I mean, we created this new material. So all this concept for Unix and as well as for SQL. Both these places we have come up with new material, and we would be starting the new batch from today evening for Unix. If anyone is interested, you can contact us, and we will be able to provide you the right guidance. So there are some useful things I would like to tell you all. That is, even let's just say you are not from a technical background, and you did your BCom or something, and you want to make good amount of money. Good amount in the sense, it's a general practice if you have 3 to 4 years of experience. I mean, there is a gap between your BCom and till now. Let's just say you did your BCom in 2018 or 2017, so there has been already almost 4 years of gap. So in that particular case, if you want to make good amount of money, you'll easily be able to earn an average with Unix production support. This is the role which I'm talking about. There are multiple support roles over there. I'll just give you just 1 minute. Okay. Yeah. So L1 and L2 production support engineer. So if you want to be an L1 and L2 production support engineer, it is very easy to earn because even if you don't have any technical background, even in that case you will be able to very easily survive in this role because there is not a lot of work over here. I mean, just that you need to be very proficient with your Unix and SQL, which we are working on for you. I mean, we will be helping you to learn Unix and SQL. So once you are done with your Unix and SQL, you will be able to apply for the role of L1 and L2 production support engineer. Even if you don't have any technical experience, that is fine. You can just call us, and we will be able to guide you how exactly you can proceed with your profile, even if you don't have any technical experience. Uh, on an average, it is very easy to get a salary of uh, around 11 to 20 lakhs if you have around 3 to 4 years of gap in between your education and till now. It is very easy to get that, and we will be providing even support while you are working in the company. Okay, let's just say, I mean, for first few months, we will be supporting you on the work as well. and you can directly come to our office. We have given the address over here, so you can come. You can make all the inquiries and understand from our counselors like how exactly these things work. The course fee would be 6,000. That would be only for the teaching and the materials which we will be providing it to you. So that particular part is great. But if you want to apply and if you want to make a great career out of it and make at least 80 to 90,000 a month, since it is very difficult for a non-technical background who has done his or her BCom or some other non-technical background, it is very difficult for someone like them to earn even 30,000 a month. But here in this particular case, we would be giving you an opportunity to learn. You just need to make some efforts and some guidance from us, and you would all are at the right time, and you'll be able to make some good amount and great career out of it. Exactly. So you can always, I mean, once you enroll for the course, you are free to come to our office and you can sit over there itself. You can practice, you can learn, you can work, and we will be providing all the support for that. So if you have anyone, if you want to apply, that is fine. And if you know anyone who are in need of a job or who are looking for a better opportunity, so you can pass on this information to them. Okay. If you have any queries, then we can just address that. Else, we can close this meeting.
Without sudden.
Okay.
Once we get package means they will come.
Hello. Okay, I guess then we can close the meeting if no one has any doubt, or you can directly contact us on our. You can directly come on to our address, or you can contact us on our mobile number, which we have already covered. Okay. So thank you so much. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Una.